my wife started getting sick and she was diagnosed with Cushing's. When it didn't change the mission of the company, what it did was it just made me maniacal for finding a solution to help not just everyone in the world, but the love of my life.
Justin Hai is not your typical founder. His work is deeply personal. His mission is biological, emotional, and cultural all at once. And the emotional care of Rebalance Health is that of a love story, one that began when his wife, Jojo, suffered from a traumatic brain injury in college. He's on a mission to bring cortisol, the master hormone, into public consciousness and reframe how we think about stress, burnout, and wellness.
We've never had such high cortisol levels ever as we do today. And it's simply because everything started becoming mainstream. Then the iPhone came out, right, in 2000s. All of a sudden, we have access to content 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Talk to us about stress, how it affects the cortisol levels.
We were to go back to thousands of years ago. It was to protect us against a saber-toothed tiger, a woolly mammoth, fire. In today's age, it was, are you going to get mugged? Are you in danger? It's the body's like alarm system that goes off like, wake up, something's not right.
We can't control everyday life, right? So what can we control? The more you know, the more the unknown grows. I am Jitesh Vaswani, your host, and together, let's take this journey beyond the known. Justin, welcome to Beyond the Known.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So I want to start right at the beginning. So you formed Rebalance. Tell us the origin story of Rebalance. How did that come into being? And what role did your wife's injury play in the inspiration behind the company?
Absolutely. So we were doing a lot of research into endocrinology. My partner and I were fascinated with the rise of peptides in 2014, 15, 16, 17, etc. In fact, Elastin skincare, the first formulation was not peptide based, it was HGH based. We had human growth hormone inside of it. We pivoted after a quick study or a quick test in the marketplace because doctors didn't like the systemic effect of having HGH within a skincare line. And so we went towards peptides. And so we've always had a deep fascination with endocrinology, peptides, and hormones. And in late 2018, we started looking at endocrinology and the different peptide markets. The FDA then reclassified almost every single peptide on the market as a biologic. And that just fueled our interest and intrigue as to what was going on. And if you looked at social media, everyone was getting cut and shredded and ripped, and it was obvious the majority of people were taking some kind of supporting peptide to augment their hormone development. And so we really just dove in. And I, for some reason, I can't tell you why, just a gut instinct, I started really getting obsessed with cortisol. I was like, there is something here. And it really became apparent when I realized that almost every molecule in the human body has a cortisol receptor.
Interesting.
And when I figured that out and I started talking to people far smarter than myself, doctors, endocrinologists, OBGYNs, I started really learning more and more about how cortisol functions within the body. And I wanted to develop a product to support cortisol that was completely different than what was available on the marketplace. And as I was developing that in tandem with the medical advisory team, MDs, etc., my wife started getting sick. And she was diagnosed with Cushing's. And so it didn't really change the trajectory of the company. It didn't change the mission of the company. What it did was it just made me maniacal for finding a solution to help not just everyone in the world, but the love of my life.
Let's talk about that a little bit more, Justin. So cortisol, so for those of you who don't know, that's the stress hormone. You're the expert, right, Justin? So talk to us about stress, how it affects the cortisol levels, and which hormones. So you said almost all the hormones have a cortisol receptor. Like, how does it affect everybody personally on a day-to-day? Like, what hormonal function relates to what activity in the day? And then how is it tied back to cortisol?
Absolutely. So every molecule in the body pretty much has a cortisol receptor, which means that when your cortisol levels are elevated, you feel it from your head to your toe. You feel it everywhere. Okay?
Interesting.
And cortisol is known as the stress hormone. It has wonderful benefits to the body as well. And we need cortisol, but it's primary function is the body's alarm system. All right. So if we were to go back to, thousands and thousands of years ago, it was to protect us against a saber-toothed tiger, a woolly mammoth, fire, right? In today's age, it was, are you going to get mugged? Are you in danger? Is something happening? It's the body's like alarm system that goes off like, wake up, wake up, wake up, something's not right. The adrenaline kicks in, and that's the action hormone, right? That's the one that puts us into action. And you hear of all those crazy stories of people getting superhuman strength to save themselves, their loved ones in a emergency type situation. Where cortisol comes into play is really interesting. You truly don't have much control over cortisol. Okay. Cortisol is basically reactive to the inputs you receive in your world. So the fire alarm goes off, cortisol kicks in. Your kids call you from school, your cortisol kicks in. You're late for work, you're in a traffic jam, your cortisol kicks in, right? It starts building and building and building, and it fluctuates all day long, up and down, up and down, up and down, which is absolutely normal. So depending on what environment you're in, your cortisol is constantly reacting to it. Just think how you function in your day-to-day. When your cell phone makes a noise, an alert goes off, most people can't ignore it. They have to figure out what it is, because it's either good news or it's bad news, and you can't take action until you understand which one it is. And so we're constantly on edge because of the way information is being fed to us. Now, why is this important? It's pretty straightforward. When cortisol is elevated in excess, which most of us it is, okay, it makes it really hard towards the end of the day, early evening, nighttime. If it's still elevated, we have a really hard time going to sleep. We have a really hard time falling asleep. And we have a really hard time staying asleep. And why is that important? You make all your sex hormones in your sleep. And a good night's sleep is defined as 7 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep. And everyone will be like, well, that's impossible. I wake up to go to the bathroom. I wake up because of this. Absolutely. So clinically, you are defined as having a poor night's sleep. Wake up once in the night, clinically, definition of a poor night's sleep. And so the lack of sleep in the modern world is causing a hormone deficit, because if you're not getting the uninterrupted 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night, your body is not making the correct amount of hormones that you need to function the next day. Night after night, this is happening. Therefore, we have a hormone deficit. And that's why there's a huge rise in HRT. Why? Well, ever since this thing was invented about 30 years ago, our cortisol levels have been elevated higher and higher and higher. And I'm holding up an iPhone, okay? So what my book, Stress Nation, kind of helps put a timeline together with is we've never had such high cortisol levels ever as we do today. And it's simply because from the late 1990s, when the internet, email, everything started becoming mainstream, then the iPhone came out, right, in 2000s, all of a sudden we have access to content 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Prior to that, we didn't. It's really that simple. And because of this constant bombardment of content, whatever you consider content, it could be entertainment, it could be games, it could be the news, it could be work, email, social media. It's all content coming at you. Because it's available to you all the time, we don't know when to shut down, and we have become entitled or addicted to this content. Right. I want to watch that movie. It's 11 o'clock at night. Well, maybe it's not the best if you have to wake up at 6 in the morning, right? You're going to get 4 to 6 hours of sleep. That's not ideal. And so really it's that simple. Elevated cortisol prevents you from falling asleep, prevents you from staying asleep, which prevents your body from naturally making the hormones that you need to function the next day. That's it. Too many consecutive nights of interrupted sleep, you're going to be dragging. You start gaining weight, you lose libido, you have brain fog, you're in a bad mood, you can't work out, you can't keep muscle mass on, you start gaining weight. These are all symptoms of a inefficiency for your body to create the right hormones that you need to function.
So then we have identified the problem here, right? Like stress is the problem, and mostly it's caused by something as simple as any external stimuli, right? Like whether, like you said, notification, fire alarm, whatever, like everyday life. So we can't control everyday life, right? Now, so what can we control?
Well, we aren't going to stop using email. We're not going to stop
Right.
using social media. We're not going to stop. So we have to learn what the cause and effect is, right? Right now we're in a I want to do it all and I should be able to do it all mindset, and that's just not the way the human body was designed. So we developed at Rebalance Health a supplement line of lozenges to support keeping cortisol at bay. And we haven't reinvented the wheel here, scoured the universe for an unknown barrier ingredient. We used known ingredients, whether it be ashwagandha, bacopa, oat straw, L-theanine, maca, magnesium, magnolia, all these different ingredients that are well known from Ayurvedic medicine and Chinese medicine that have been around for literally hundreds and hundreds of years. We've repackaged with a Western delivery system as a lozenge. So we fit a massive amount of ingredients into a tiny little lozenge, but you simply put in your mouth and you suck on it like a mint. And we have a line of mints. So for men, man mints, for men and women, mellow mints, and for women going through perimenopause, menno mints, right? And the science behind the company is not we went out and found scientific studies for each ingredient. No. We knew that. What we did is we had studies done on our product once we've made it and formulated it. And we did pharmaceutical grade studies. So we did open label, blind, and double blind IRB clinical studies, third party reviewed, and then published in medical journals, right? So this isn't just here's a study on ashwagandha, I have ashwagandha, therefore I'm good for you, which is basically the basis of the entire industry. We actually took it significantly further and put some serious capital behind these studies to make sure that we could develop them, do them right, and support the formulations as needed, and then let the world know what we've done. So the two things that we took into consideration were, number one, quality of ingredients and the formulation to support the body. Number two was delivery. We wanted to make sure that the product was actually delivered into the body and supported. And the third thing was we took into consideration metabolism. And everyone's forgotten about metabolism.
So
right?
talk to us about that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, breakfast, lunch, and dinner for most people, right?
Yeah.
Why? Because anytime you put something in your body metabolizes it, utilizes it, breaks it down, and utilizes it every 4 to 6 hours. So how can you possibly take one supplement for cortisol and expect it to last 24 hours? Because cortisol is a 24-hour 7 hormone, right? It is. So we developed a lozenge. So just like a cough drop, you pop it in your mouth, you suck on it, and if you feel like your cortisol levels are rising, you feel anxious, you feel like life's getting away from you, you're a little off your game, take another lozenge. And so there's no limitation. We recommend throughout the day, and it helps keep you more calm, and on your game. In the case of women going through perimenopause, the reason why the menopausal symptoms are so erratic and exacerbated, and I've seen it firsthand, plenty of women in my world, in my life, our customers, it is no joke, right? It is absolutely no joke. Perimenopause is a beautiful phase of life, but because of the content, because of the lifestyle evolution that has occurred in the past 30 years, symptoms are getting worse and worse and worse. And we actually did a double-blind study with over 200 women in the study, where all the women saw a reduction in hot flashes, and the average reduction was 80%. There was 70% improvement in mood, disposition, energy levels. They had better sleep, obviously. They had improvement in libido, better hair, skin, and nails. And most importantly, they just felt like themselves again. And so, again, published, studied in medical journals. We're invited to the North American Menopause Society to actually present the data. And so we've had a lot of wonderful outcomes from this product, but it all comes back down to the same thing: keeping cortisol within normal ranges and getting good quality sleep. So the last thing that you asked was, what else can we do? We have to have a real honest conversation with ourselves about what life was like in the 70s and the 80s and the early 90s versus what life is like today. People scroll the length of the Eiffel Tower on their phone every day.
Right.
It's what they call zombie scrolling, just mindless
Doom scrolling, yeah.
doom scrolling all the time. We have to learn to wind down. We have to understand how our bodies were designed, and we're fighting an addiction that was gamified by Silicon Valley. They deliberately invested in technology, and they're strategically trying to get us addicted to these games or social media or whatever app they're pushing, right? That's a business strategy, but it's having significant consequences to the human body and the natural rhythm, the circadian rhythm that the human body needs. And so we have to learn to be really disciplined and learn to put the phone away, get away from the screens, understand that the 2 hours before bed are absolutely sacred. You've got to get away from stimuli, meditate, go for a walk, do something that helps bring yourself down, get into a calm place. Do not go and have alcoholic food. Do not go have a big meal. Do not drink a lot of water. Do not go watch TV. Do not do these things, because you're going to interfere with the body's natural ability to wind down. We all know about blue light stimulation, right? That stimulates the same kind of wave frequencies as the sun, which tells the body to release cortisol. So everything that we believe that we're entitled to is just actually working against us.
Did you also say,
did you bring it down?
Yeah. Did you also say do not drink a lot of water before? Like,
absolutely not. So
interesting.
I'm 50, right? There's no issues as you get older. Everyone knows it. Your bladder gets weaker. You don't have the same ability to hold on to the food and the water that you consume. You need to let it out, right? And so if I'm going to drink a lot of water and have a big meal before bed, I guarantee you 3 hours later, I'm waking up to use the bathroom. So if I know that, why am I doing that? When the most important thing to protect in our world is our sleep. Sleep hygiene is key as you get older. It is not something that becomes easier. It actually is something that becomes harder and harder. And so there's a reason why there's a lot of jokes around people going for dinner reservations at 4:30 and 5 o'clock, right? That's the smart thing to do as you get older, so that you have 3 to 4 hours so your body can metabolize, process, eliminate, and you can go to bed on an empty stomach, empty bladder, and be able to get a uninterrupted night's sleep from at least the bladder's perspective. Alcohol at diet, yeah, sure, it's great when you're 20, 25, but guess what? It is a stimulant, not a sedative. Everyone thinks, I'll take a glass of wine, it'll wind me down. Yeah, it might wind you down initially, but then it converts to sugar, and now it's a stimulant, and now you're awake. And so it's understanding the dynamics of how these vices show up in the human body and actually counteracts what you actually need in order to protect and absolutely honor that 7 to 8 hours that you need. And when you get that 7 to 8 hours, wow, life changes.
Yeah. No, I agree. I've noticed a difference. So the way I deal with my stress is through breathing and meditation. I have a practice. There's a breathing technique that I practice called sky breath meditation. I do that 20 minutes in the morning. Then I do 20 minutes of meditation. And then in the evening, I do another round of 20 minutes of meditation. Now, I feel like, obviously, I measure my sleep. Obviously, I can notice a difference in my sleep patterns. But besides that, I can't measure other body signals. But physically and mentally and emotionally, I feel much different, right? On the days when I've gotten my practice in, regularly and over a long period of time. So then what is the role of emotional regulation? How is it tied to cortisol? And is that enough? Or do people need let's say supplements even? So how do these work, or do they work hand in hand? So could you expand a little bit more on that?
I think it all works hand in hand.
Okay.
And I think everyone is unique. It's kind of like looking at hormone replacement therapy as a blanket for everyone. It isn't. Everyone's ratios of hormones is unique to them, kind of like your thumbprint is unique to them, right? There is no blanket statement that says you should be at X.
Right.
And that's why if you go see an endocrinologist, and most people in their 50s and 60s are candidates for HRT, obviously, because you're making less and less hormones as you get older. And if you have a quality of life that you'd like to maintain, you're active, yes, the lack of hormones as you get older will play a role. So HRT is a viable solution for quite a few people. It starts off the same way, or it should start off the same way. Complete hormone blood work panel, followed by a whole bunch of subjective questions. How do you feel? How do you sleep? How's your libido? How's your weight? How's your muscle mass? How's your mental clarity? How's your skin, your hair, your nails? All the same stuff, right? Then the doctor will make an educated suggestion. Let's try her out at this dosage on this ratio of hormone replacement therapy. And in 90 days, let's repeat the process. In 90 days, full blood panel. Let's look at how the numbers have shifted, right? Followed by all those subjective questions. How do you feel? How are you sleeping? How's your energy? And so forth. And based on that information, the doctor who's qualified makes wonderful recommendations to the patient that says, I think we should either increase or decrease or try this or try that. But it is also followed with, what are your kind of your health practices? Are you working out? Are you drinking water, right? If you're just sitting on the couch eating ice cream and pizza, right? Not much is going to help you, right? You have to play an active role. And I know as a society, we are all looking for that magic pill, right? That's why GLP-1s have become so popular, because it's a magic pill. Take it, however I take it, injection, however, and I've lost the weight. Whoa.
Yeah.
Right? And so we are always on the hunt for something magical. But at the end of the day, you can actually completely reverse your health, your mental clarity, your performance by being mindful by how you live your life, taking a supplement like Rebalance Health, because the internet and social media and all that's not going away, but having the ability to be able to support sleep, reducing cortisol, and being mindful about how you interact with technology for your wellness.
Hey, a quick pause. If you're listening to this and thinking, I need more peace in my day, more clarity in my mind, then I'll really encourage you to check out The Art of Living. The Art of Living offers a technique called Sky Breath Meditation, used by CEOs, pro athletes, and high performers around the world to recharge their energy, clear that mental fog, and reset the nervous system in minutes. They offer programs both online and in person. It is science-backed and it works. Head to artofliving.org to learn more. So I was curious about another thing that you mentioned. So your supplements are lozenges, right? Instead of, let's say, a tablet, or instead of like a capsule or something. Why is that? So for example, I take ashwagandha a lot, right? Like there are days when I'm stressed, I would take an ashwagandha in the night and go to bed. But I noticed that unique about Rebalance and what you were describing.
We wanted a delivery system that was proven. We have specific ingredients that help ingredients survive in the gut, and we wanted to make sure that we could provide the right ratios for formulation that we believe to be beneficial. And so if you were to take all of the ingredients, you would have like literally a handful of supplements.
Right.
So the benefit of a lozenge is that it slowly dissolves in the mouth and is able to be absorbed by the body as it breaks down. And we can use much smaller quantities of ingredients in a lozenge format. And it's well documented in lots of studies that the number one delivery method for anything is an injection, an IV injection, right? So subcutaneous injection into the bloodstream, that's best, but that's a drug, right? But that's the best. The next best is a nasal spray or a lozenge.
Okay.
And there are literally hundreds of studies available to read that show that basically 90 to 95% of supplements on the market never enter the body. They just get urinated out. And so it was key and critical to the formulation and the patents that we have, that we developed a product that worked.
That's interesting. Okay, so I did not know that. I mean, this is great information. That using a lozenge, like, it helps the body absorb the same nutrients from the supplement faster and better, as compared to other forms of supplements that people might be taking.
Absolutely. So in medical school, doctors are taught that you can actually eat, carb it, and digest it. And so, do you know that there isn't a single study that says that ashwagandha is absorbed in the body? Not one. Not one study. I've been on the phone many times with the CEO and president of KSM 66, which is the ashwagandha that we use. It's like one of the best on the planet. He has spent millions and millions and millions of dollars trying to figure out how to prove that when you take ashwagandha, it actually can show up and you can trace it in the blood. Can't do it. Hasn't been able to thus far. I know he's still trying.
Okay, so like personally for me, when I take ashwagandha, I mean, I feel a difference. Like, so why am I feeling the difference? Is it placebo?
Doesn't mean it doesn't work. I'm just saying
Okay.
there isn't a study that proves scientifically that it does. Now, I can tell you that the placebo effect is exceptionally real. The placebo effect is extremely real. In our study, we gave the placebo group Altoids.
Okay. And it worked?
Yep, 40% of the women said, wow, it's a miracle drug. All my hot flashes have gone.
What? That's wild. That's crazy.
It is wild. Might not be sustaining, but for the
Right.
duration of the study, that was our group. And there was nothing in there except sugar and peppermint. And so the placebo effect is real. Doesn't mean that look, if the placebo works, fabulous. You found a solution that eliminates your symptoms. Why would you object to that, right? So for 40% of the people, if you can mentally think that something's going to work for you, it's going to be beneficial, fabulous. But to your point, ashwagandha has been around for centuries and used for centuries as a calming herb and root, right? We believe in it. That's why it's one of the biggest ingredients in our formulation, right? We couldn't trace that in the body. We tried. There was no elements. And why? Because it's made up of so many different amino acids, carbohydrates, starches, proteins, right? It's not pure, right? It's made up of a bit of everything. That's why you can't trace these natural ingredients in the blood. Pharmaceutical companies, they're 99.9% pure. And so they develop an assay to actually trace that in the blood. And that's how they can actually trace it and go, yes, I can find this drug in the blood because it's so pure, I can identify it. But when you have a natural ingredient that's made up of so many different components, it's impossible, almost impossible. I'm sure someone's figured out something for some ingredient, but for the majority of the marketplace, it's impossible. So there are no ingredients. There's a lot of studies for ashwagandha, sure, that'll say, hey, it's beneficial from a subjective perspective, but not from an assay perspective.
Right. So it's not that it's not there. Like, it's just that it's not detectable. That's all.
Correct. It's not detectable in the blood. Absolutely.
Okay. So
There are
that
plenty of studies that say that it actually works, but none that
Right.
can be detected in the blood.
right makes sense. Okay. So now, so that's interesting. So you have had like a very interesting journey personally as well, right? Like Royal Military Academy, School of Design, and then you also did something at Harvard Law, and also School of Medicine. Like, so how does this journey tie into defining who you are as a person? Like, what inspired you to go and be such a multidimensional personality in a way, right? Like what? Like, was it curiosity? What was the trigger inside? Like,
Yeah, it's just curiosity, interest, but I think I always bring it down to a simple phrase, which is I like to solve problems.
okay,
And so I am a designer at heart,
mm-hmm.
and I'm just solving design briefs all the time, whatever it might be. And so it's curiosity. I don't think anyone needs to fit into a certain box. I certainly don't fit into a box. And I just like to solve problems. And this was a problem that I saw and wanted to solve.
Interesting. And do you think that that is something that can be taught to people? This attitude of being able to solve problems, or is that something that's just inherently was present, in your life?
I think that's a very interesting question. I never actually thought about it in that way. I believe that RISD taught me how to solve problems. I was an industrial design and animation major, and went to, basically worked for Disney out of college and solved problems. But I was always fascinated with business. And to me, business is a big, a bunch of problems, a bunch of issues that you have to solve. And the better you are, the quicker you are at solving the issues, right? And so to me, it's just a big challenge and jigsaw puzzle to try and put the pieces together and solve it. I like to believe that my passion for martial arts and maybe some of the military had that indomitable spirit inside of me. I helped train that in me so that I don't give up. If I'm knocked down, I get back up as fast as I can, as quickly as I can. And so I think all the different interests that I've had in my life have led me to different opportunities where I just simply had the same perspective. I'm passionate about what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. I believe I can help literally tens of millions of people around the world with our product, very inexpensive product, direct to consumer online, and take the product, listen to some of the tips and guidance on how to support your world and thrive. Really, the big thing for me is Rebalance Health is changing lives. It's not just a supplement. It's not a wellness product, right? It's changing people's lives. And we get testimonials like that every day from men and women saying, you've changed my life. Simply because I'm calmer, my symptoms have gone away, I have mental clarity, I can sleep. And people are literally saying, I feel like myself again. Literally, I feel like myself again. If that doesn't drive me, I don't know what will. The fact that I can help that many people with a solution that relatively is quite straightforward.
Do people ever become immune to supplements? Like, does that ever happen that like people are taking a supplement for a long period of time, and then do they need it more and more each time to feel the benefit, or like are there studies done on it, like things like that?
That's a very, very good question, and I can say without a doubt, yes. Supplements become less effective, and one that we all know very well is melatonin, right? So the body will always make melatonin, but if you start giving yourself melatonin supplements or gummies or whatever it is that you're giving yourself, you build up a tolerance to it, kind of like alcohol, right? Those who drink frequently, you develop a tolerance. And so it's important to understand that those tolerances exist and that you can come off of it. So the new trend with melatonin is you should cycle on and off melatonin, right? Because even though your body will always make it, you become less and less effective for you. And so some people are taking insane amounts of melatonin, and really what they should do is stop taking it for 30 to 60 days, and then they can start taking it again, and a very small dose will have a significant effect on the body. Not all supplements work that way, but that's one example of a supplement that's in mainstream today that definitely has that type of kind of effect on the human body.
Are there studies done on like ashwagandha, for example? Like, do you cycle on, like, can you cycle on and off even?
I don't think it's a blanket rule. I haven't seen one. It could very well exist when I haven't read one.
Okay.
I know melatonin, they're still trying to figure out what the optimum dose is, but I don't think they've done that just yet. We actually have in our product, we have melatonin in our Dream supplement, and we have a melatonin-free version, and we recommend cycling. I personally find the melatonin-free one more effective, but if I've had a really rough day or something's gone on in my world where I know like I need to sleep and I know my cortisol's up here, right? It's right up here, and I'm going to bed in an hour. I need to bring it down. I will take my melatonin, it's a version of the product, and it works very, very quickly. And so I just tend to go away from it because let's be honest, taking melatonin is HRT. Melatonin is a hormone that your body makes. So, do I think we should be giving kids melatonin gummies? No. We shouldn't be giving our kids melatonin gummies. I know it's an easy thing. It's like what we used to get. My mom gave me Benadryl, like knock me out if I was too wired, right?
Yeah.
I understand what parents do and so forth, but as a general rule and general practice, I'm not for giving any child a melatonin gummy. That's not a good idea.
What are people not doing right in 2025 in terms of nutrition and diet that people were doing right in, let's say, 70s, 80s, or 90s, that we see the need for these supplements more and more now?
Well, we definitely need supplementation. I would definitely say that we need supplementation. You can't get everything that you need in the quantities that you need from food. For me, I get asked the question in a different way. A lot of people ask me, what's the best diet or what's the best exercise? And my response is pretty much the same one. It's the one that's going to work for you and you're going to stick to, right? I don't think diet is a good word because it implies a way of eating that is short term And then typically people fall off the diet and then the bad habits creep in. So to me, it is a way of eating and living that is sustainable and
Right.
healthy.
Right.
And so for me, my belief, and it's just my belief, opinion of one, that farm to table is best. If it comes from the ground or an animal and it hasn't been highly processed in any way, shape, or form, that's the best. So I believe in protein and vegetables and stay away from everything else. Simple as that. And mass processing and the way that we believe our food is made is not great for us. Simple as that. I believe in eating less calories than you burn, right? That's the aha moment. It's so obvious, but we don't do it. So track your calories. You don't have to do it forever, but if you track it for a week, you'll understand what quantities of calories, what your macros are that you're consuming in what ratios. So track your calories to get a good understanding, and try and eat 4 hours before going to bed. Don't eat earlier than that. I mean, have your last meal 4 hours before you go to bed. Give your body a chance to digest, metabolize, break it down, and utilize it. Go to bed hungry.
Yes, a lot of these learnings, you're reminding me of my childhood. My grandfather was a very practicing yogi. Like, he would wake up early in the morning. He would do yoga. He would practice his meditation. He would do a bunch of breathing techniques. And then that's how he would start his day every morning. And then some of the things that you are mentioning to me are the things that he would, like teach us as we were kids, is don't eat too late in the night. Give your body a chance to digest the food, like ideal time to eat. Even Ayurvedically speaking, I study, I'm curious about Ayurveda and, all of that. So I've read books and they would recommend that eat right at sunset. They would time your eating patterns to the sun. So your heaviest meal should be in the afternoon, things like that, because the heat outside is also the heat inside. And they would call something called as digestive fire. So your digestive fire is highest during the day. So you eat your heavy stuff then. Don't eat after sunset. Your dinner should be right before sunset so you can digest it. So a lot of this, there seems to be a lot of parallels between what you are talking and what these ancient form of healings were, right? Like how do you think this modern science and this ancient science of well-being, like where do they intersect, and where are we going next as humanity? Like, is there like a what do you say, rebirth of these ancient techniques, or like what's going on?
I don't have a crystal ball, and I don't think there's anything that I've said or that I'm saying or that I'm advising on that is like crazy new information, right? And there's nothing here that's crazy. It's just putting the pieces together and kind of getting through the clutter, right? How many diets have been around in our lifetime, right? With the South Beach diet, the paleo diet, the keto diet, right?
Right.
The carnivore diet, right? It's all about just having a balanced diet, farm to table, right? And what works for you. Some people are going to have some intolerances and some people are going to have some allergies, and you just, you navigate that within reason. But we all know if we sit there eating pizza and hot dogs and ice cream all day, we're not going to live a very healthy and long life, right? We all know if we drink alcohol too much, it's going to be toxic for us. So it's all common sense. But I think where we've lost track is understanding how food actually interacts with our body, how exercise interacts, but most importantly, which hasn't really been spoken about, how technology is interacting. And I believe there's an intersection of all three, and that you have to have balance in your life in order to be able to optimize your life. And if any of those elements are out of whack, all of a sudden your symptoms are going to be exacerbated. It's really that simple. And sometimes we have to be reminded to take a big step back, have a look about what we're doing, and have some level of discipline to try and put in corrective action.
Yeah, no, I think that's the most important thing. What would you recommend so we talked about diet, we talked about exercise, we touched upon meditation, we talked highly about supplements. Is there anything else that we can do right now which is simple to implement, something that people can integrate into their everyday life? We also talked about technology, right? Sleep hygiene. is there something that people can do in addition to all of these things while they're managing all of this? Or is there any advice that you could give that can help them do all of this also in an easier fashion? Like, how do we inculcate these habits? Like, what's the best way?
It might sound overwhelming, but just take small steps, small bites. Nothing is done all at once overnight. Try and eat healthy. Try and eat less calories than you burn. Do some sort of exercise, whatever you're going to do and can be consistent with, right? Get your heart rate up. Lift weights. Everyone needs to lift weights. We know this is the be-all and end-all, right? It's going to help with longevity and wellness, right? You have to support your bones, your muscles, everything through lifting a load, right? Get off the cardio stuff, guys. That would be a big thing for me, right? You can consume more calories in 30 seconds than you can burn off in an hour, right? Think about it. You just have one treat, right? It'll take you an hour to burn off 300-400 calories, right? So yeah, just be really mindful of what goes in your body, but lift weights versus staying on the treadmill or the step machine. I see people killing themselves every day, trying to get in the hour. That hour is actually doing that much for you if you don't have discipline in the kitchen, right? That's where your bodies are shaped.
Do you burn more in lifting weights versus in cardio?
It's not about burning calories.
Mm-hmm.
For me, working out, you lift weights in order to get stronger, to put stress on your muscles, to put stress on your bones, to help with osteoporosis, to help with maintaining a muscle mass that you need in order to have a healthy, long-living life weight. Everyone's preaching that. I mean, everyone is. Doctors, surgeons, you name it. Cardio, yes, you need to have good cardiovascular health. Absolutely. But I think that the way we've been going about it isn't quite right? Go walk. I believe in the steps. I believe in taking 8 to 15,000 steps a day, which basically means go for a walk for an hour. Break it up into 15 minutes, but go for a walk, get some sun, be in the fresh air, and do not take your phone with you. just don't take that phone. That phone is really what's killing everybody, because it is a lifeline. It's a tether, and we need to learn to embrace, look up, look at one another, interact with the other humans in the world that we live in, not be obsessed with these AI devices that are literally taking over our world, right? And so for me, look up, smile, and learn to do what we did in the 80s and 90s, which was be together, laugh, have fun, love each other, and just be in harmony. And right now, we are so stressed. Our anxiety is up here. We are so highly stressed that we're on short fuses. There's road rage. There's rage in the world. Just look at the world that we live in today. We're swiping left, we're swiping right, we're scrolling the Eiffel Tower. What are we doing? There are so many beautiful people and things that we have in this world that we are taking for granted and we're ignoring because we're obsessed with technology. And we're obsessed with it because we want the content. We're addicted to that content that we want, that rush, that dopamine hit that is constantly being served up. And you have to break it. And you can do anything in 30 days, right? You can break any habit. You just got to be disciplined to do it and realize, what do I want in my world? What do I want in my life? What do I want for my family, my kids, my friends? And how can I be a part of that in a much bigger picture versus literally heads down looking? And, you don't need me to talk about that. Everyone talks about how our world is this. And you gotta look up. There should be a look up, programming right there, right? Inspire everyone just to look up.
Look up.
Look up.
Yeah. I think that can be the tagline for this episode is look up. and I think what you mentioned is really beneficial, especially when you mentioned just take a time-bound habit, like just do it for 30 days and then don't make it like, okay, now I'm going to do this habit for a lifetime, because there's high chances you'll fail and then you'll blame yourselves and get into the self-guilt trip. And then instead take a short-term promise, make a short-term promise to yourself, 30 days, and then see how you feel, and then reward yourself for achieving those 30 days, then go for another 30 days until it becomes part of your, everyday life.
Got to be sustainable, yeah. Is it sustainable never to have sugar or never have a treat. Maybe for some people, but most people want to have some indulgence, right?
Right.
So, if you, believe it or not, if you kind of empty that from your diet for 30 days, you kind of don't want it anymore. It doesn't feel good, taste good. When you have it, you're like, not that great.
Yeah.
And it's when we just become lazy and we're like, all right, I'll have it. It's available. I'll take it. Right. So it's really, I believe in baby steps. And it was I think it was a graduation speech from a military officer that said, start every day by making your bed. Right. And it's just a small, achievable task that can be done. Right. And so it's the same thing in your life. What are those small baby steps that you can take so that you can be successful and enjoy those successes, right? And let's be kinder to ourselves, right? We all have those voices in our head, and it's how we overcome those. And my wife is a big believer in meditation like yourself. And she always says, just come from love, come from right here, come from your heart. And it's amazing how lighter you feel.
Yeah. No, that's
right?
incredible. I have learned so much from you, Justin, in the past, 40, 50 minutes that we have interacted. And I'm sure our listeners are valuing this. How can they connect with you? Like, what's the best way they can find you and reach out to you?
Wonderful. Well, they can find me at rebalancehealth.com. I have a book coming out through Wiley. It's called Stress Nation. It'll be available beginning of September. You can pre-order it today on Amazon or book.com. And we have a documentary that's coming out on Amazon Prime that should be out in Q4 called Shield, She Healed. It's all about optimizing women's hormones using alternative medicine.
Awesome. Well, I'll be sure that our team puts out all the links in the description below. Thanks everybody for tuning in. This was yet another episode of Beyond the Known. And Justin, we appreciate you for taking out time during your day and educating us about the immense benefits of, supplements, rebalance, and more than that, just inculcating these habits into our everyday life, inspiring us to live healthier and be more well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey, a quick pause. I want to share a resource I've personally trusted for years. And when it comes to living well, not just in moments of meditation or reflection, but in everyday life, what we put into our bodies matters deeply. And that is why I love Shri Shri Tattva. It's a brand rooted in authentic Ayurveda, from daily wellness supplements to natural personal care, all crafted with ancient wisdom and modern purity. No shortcuts, no hypes, just products that support real well-being from the inside out. For me, it's all about alignment between what I practice and what I teach and how I live. And Shri Shri Tattva helps me bring some of that care into my daily routine. You can explore their offerings at shrishrittattvausa.com. I highly recommend checking them out. The link is also in my description below. I want to share something I've been personally loving. Shankara's Ghee Sutra is one of those rare products where ancient wisdom meets modern skincare. It's crafted from ghee that's churned 10,000 times. Yes, 10,000. Blended with Ayurvedic botanicals like hibiscus, bamboo, and it penetrates deep, up to 7 layers, to nourish, hydrate, and bring your skin back to life. No harsh chemicals, no surface level fixes, just deep, authentic care from the inside out, like everything we talk about on this show. You can check it out at shankara.com, and trust me, your skin will thank you. The link is also in the description below.